Virgo. I need you to sit with this one, um, because what's coming through in your energy today um, has two very distinct layers, um, and both of them matter equally um, in different ways. Um, the first layer is warmth, um, deep, uh, specific, um, unmistakable warmth from someone who wants to be close to you, not casually, um, not conveniently, um, with intention. The second layer is less than #07# is unfinished business. Mm. Something between you that hasn't been resolved. That needs to be before anything else can fully land. Mhm. And understanding both separately, clearly, honestly is what today is about. Um, let's start with the man because his energy is present loudly uh, in what's coming through right now. What I'm sensing around him is desire, not the surface kind, um, the kind that lives underneath uh, in the specific way someone thinks about another person when they're not trying to, when they're doing something completely unrelated, um, and you appear anyway. Um, that kind of desire, the involuntary kind, um, is what seems to be present in his energy. A pull toward you that isn't casual, that doesn't feel optional to him, um, that shows up in the quality of how he moves around you when he's paying attention and in the specific way he might be thinking about you when he's not. Um, and what's coming through is that this isn't new. This has been building quietly in the background of whatever has been complicated between you. The feeling hasn't gone anywhere despite the difficulty. Uh, if anything, the difficulty might have made it clearer to him what he feels, what he wants, which is you specifically, not the idea of you, uh, the actual you, with all the complexity of what exists between you included. Uh, but, and this is the part that requires honesty, desire alone, however real, um, however intense, um, cannot carry what needs to be built between you. Not by itself, um, because there is conflict here, unresolved conflict, the specific kind that doesn't disappear because the feeling is strong, but tends to resurface at exactly the wrong moments if it hasn't been properly addressed. Um, and addressing it is less than #07#, honestly, completely, without leaving the difficult parts unspoken, is the thing that determines uh, whether what's between you becomes something real and sustainable or something that cycles. Beautiful in moments, um, and painful in others, because the foundation was never cleared of what needed clearing. Um, this reflection invites you to consider what is the unresolved thing, not the surface version, the actual thing, um, the conversation that hasn't been had, uh, the feeling that hasn't been expressed, the hurt that was absorbed without being acknowledged, the question that was never asked, because asking it felt too risky, because naming it made it real in a way that required a response you weren't sure you were ready for. Uh, what is that thing? Um, because it needs to be named between you before the desire has somewhere solid to land. Uh, and named things, uh, however uncomfortable, are always more workable than the unspoken ones, um, that live in the space between people, um, and shape everything without ever being acknowledged. Now, let's talk about reconciliation, what it actually means, what it requires, and what it makes possible, when it's done correctly. Reconciliation, real reconciliation, um, is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of understanding about what the conflict was actually about and a genuine shift, um, in at least one of the things that produced it. Not a promise, not an apology alone, uh, though apology might be part of it. Um, a demonstrated shift in behavior, in approach, um, in the specific pattern that produced the break, showing signs of actually changing. Uh, because reconciliation without that shift, however warm, however desired, tends to produce the same outcome again, uh, different timeline, um, same destination. And you, uh, is less than #07#, having already been through the difficulty, deserve to walk into any reconciliation with your eyes fully open, not guarded, um, not closed, open, which means seeing clearly, um, what has and hasn't changed before deciding how far in to go. Here's what the energy is suggesting. Um, about the reconciliation that seems to be building. There is genuine remorse present on his end. Um, Not performed remorse is less than #0 5# deployed because it produces the outcome he wants. What feels like actual, I understand what happened, is less than #0 5#, and I understand my part in it, is less than #0 7# remorse. Um, and that distinction uh, between genuine and performed matters enormously, because genuine remorse tends to produce behavior change. Um, and behavior change sustained over time is the only thing worth building reconciliation on. Uh, so, um, when the conversation happens and it seems like it might be approaching, watch for the behavior is less than #0 7#. Not just the words, not just the warmth, not just the desire, however real and however compelling, um, the behavior in the ordinary moments when nobody is performing. Um, when the reconciliation energy has settled, um, and what remains is just two people in the daily reality of a connection, um, showing up or not showing up um, for each other. Um, that's the data. Um, Everything else is weather. This reflection invites you to consider, what would genuine resolution actually look like between you and this man? Not what would feel good in the moment, um, not what would make the tension dissolve quickly, um, what would actually structurally change the conditions that produce the conflict in the first place. Because knowing the answer to that clearly in advance of the conversation means you enter it knowing what you're looking for, uh, rather than being swept along by the warmth of reconnection before the actual reconciliation um, has had a chance to happen. Because warmth is not reconciliation, it's the beginning of the conversation that reconciliation requires. Uh, Here's what I want you to hear. Um, Clearly, about both layers of what's coming through. Um, uh, the desire is real. Um, what he feels is less than #0. 0# appears to be genuine. The pull toward you, uh, significant. The want, specific. Uh, and uh, you are allowed to want the reconciliation. Um, you are allowed to want this to work. You are allowed to hope, uh, genuinely. Uh, that what exists between you is strong enough and real enough, um, and worth enough to build on correctly this time. Uh, that hope is not naive. Um, Hope combined with clear eyes is actually one of the most powerful things available to you right now. Uh, the clear eyes are what changed, what is being offered differently, what evidence exists, um, beyond the feeling that this time might produce a different outcome. Uh, the hope is, I want this to work, um, and I'm willing to be present for it fully, uh, if the evidence supports it. Um, Both simultaneously. The hope and the clear eyes, the desire and the discernment, the warmth is less than #0 7#, and the standard. Um, that combination is what produces the outcome is less than #hone 0# you actually want, is less than #0 5#, not the romantic version of what you want, is less than #0 7#, the real one, is less than #hon 0#, the lasting one, is less than #0 5#. The one that is less than #0 7#, 6 months from now, is less than #0 you look back at, is less than #0 5#, and recognize as the moment, is less than #0 7#, you got it right, is less than #7#. The power is yours. Uh, it always has been. What seems to be building in the energy between you and this man is significant. Um, the feeling is real. The desire is present, and the possibility of reconciliation, done correctly, um, might be closer than the current distance suggests. But go into it uh, when it arrives. Um, with the conversation the desire is trying to bypass. Have it anyway. The real one, the uncomfortable one, the one that names what needs naming and creates the actual foundation rather than the feeling of one. Um, because a foundation built from real conversation holds the weight of a real relationship, and a real relationship um, with the man whose energy is coming through here might be exactly what's possible on the other side of the conversation you've been putting off. Have it with your eyes open, with your heart open too. Um, Both. That's the move.